spectacular deep blue skies with patchy cirrus out there, indicating some moisture moving through the 200 to 300 millibar bands. We can see that on the visible satellite imagery, patches of cirrus extending all the way from Ada, Oklahoma, down through Dallas and all the way to Austin. The forecast models are really not that great picking up that type of cloud material. It only shows up towards evening, but early on, even before the clouds form, we can pull up a forecast skew-t, and we can see evidence of the moisture up there. Base is about 350 millibars, indicating heights of about 25,000 feet. The surface chart for this afternoon shows a 1040 millibar high across Washington, pushing a large mass of cold air through much of the western U.S. We can see down in Arizona, winds are out of the north, kind of gusty there. Places like Kingman, Flagstaff, Winslow, and all the way into southeastern Colorado, where we have gusts up to 36 knots. I decided to keep the warm front well to the south down there around San Angelo. And that's because in East Texas, Oklahoma, we had a very cold night. It was 26 here. There were freezing conditions almost all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Got a large mass of cold air covering the eastern U.S. and even more cold air coming in from the northwest. So that's going to put all of your fronts well to the south. Also, we've got that old occlusion up in the northeast U.S. That thing is still spinning up there north of Vermont. Snow showers being indicated anywhere from Ottawa, Toronto, down towards western New York and down to Pennsylvania. Looks like the main baroclinic system is well offshore, so what we're left with is a cold core low. The upper air charts indicating a meridional pattern across North America, one very large long wave trough off the west coast, well out there in the Pacific. Also, we've got this large long wave ridge on the west coast, large long wave trough over the U.S., and then ridging again out in the Atlantic. Breaking that down even further, a couple of troughs. There's two of them right there, a ridge in between and a ridge coming onto the British Columbia coast there. Now, last I checked with the Hove-Moeller diagrams, we went over that yesterday in the supporter stream. Those were definitely indicated as being progressive. So we're probably going to see this ridge continue to work onto the west coast into the Rocky Mountain region. And then the next big thing we'll contend with is this 200-knot jet max digging into that trough south of Alaska. Now here's a closer look at things for the remainder of the week. So we were talking about that ridge on the west coast, and there it is right there. We've also got this jet max digging down the back side. We've had a tendency for these very sharp troughs to shear off. And it looks like that's actually what happens here as we go into the upper air charts for tomorrow. And there it is. Upper level low over the panhandles by this time tomorrow. And that'll pretty much drift across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and very sluggishly that large ridge comes on shore and crosses over the Rockies. So where does that leave us? Well, we've got a split flow pattern right there. Northern branch across Canada. Conditions are definitely a little bit warm up there for this time of year. And then a southern branch down here, probably merged up with the subtropical jet down along the Gulf Coast. Going into this weekend, looks like a fast jet there in the southeastern U.S., so probably a chance for rain in places like Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. And then most of the western half of the country falls under the influence of this very sharp ridge. And then further east, we get probably another cold surge coming south into the Midwest late in the weekend. And then just running this ahead very quickly. Oh, yeah, there's another cutoff low. It's the winter of the cutoff lows, I guess. Yeah, where did that come from? Yeah, that trough right there. go back even further. This is Saturday. And go back to Thursday. There it is. So, yeah, watch that as we go forward from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you see that shear off. So that'll give us a lot of wild card scenarios going into the next week or two. And here comes another trough. Let's see if that shears off. Yep. Once again. So this is around the 12th. This is getting way out there. But anyway, we do have a very active pattern. And I don't know if we're going to see any sharp cold air outbreaks coming in from Canada. Let's check that out real quick. I'll just look at the temperature anomaly, and starting out, yeah, you can see it's above normal there. And here's what northern Canada looks like. This is just an approximation on that warm front, but you can see Yukon above freezing in a lot of areas. I think that's Whitehorse there, 34. We are certainly not building any cold air masses in that part of the Arctic. And then running that forward, strong downslope event there, west of Yellowknife. And some of that warm air works out into the Victoria Island and southwest Nunavut area. And we should probably look at actual temperatures, and yeah, that works out to 40s. Definitely on the warm side. And then going into the weekend, well, the cold air does gradually return. And there you see it up here. This is all sub-zero temperatures. And some of it does manage to slide southeast into Manitoba around the 10th. And then down towards the Great Lakes, Quebec, Ontario, around the 13th. But you can see there's not really a massive push of cold air. Let's run that back one more time. We start out with 40s and 50s on the plains around the 6th. Some cold air oozes down. One little kick there around the 11th, but this is not cold air charging south or anything like that. It's just kind of gradually filtering down from Canada. And about the only place really getting into the icebox is, of course, the Northeast. Over the long term, we're in a pretty solid La Nina pattern. There's a temperature forecast. They're keeping the northern U.S. pretty cold. And that's typically, indeed, what we do see during a La Nina event. Warm conditions along the Gulf Coast. During an El Nino pattern, the Gulf Coast tends to be cold, cloudy, and rainy. But we're expecting the opposite for this year. Precipitation, yep, dry all along the southern tier states and wet up north. All right, so now that we have a very general idea what's happening, we're up to speed for this week. Well, here's the cold air coming south. New push of cold air. Downslope, southwesterly winds, warm up there in Texas, warm air advection. Let's see what happens over the next 24 hours. Well, by tomorrow, this is in the morning hours, pretty sharp warm air advection. You can see we're forming up boxes in the thickness isobar field overlay. And that's just enough warm air advection to kick off these little showers. Let's back that up just 6 hours and look at a forecast skew-t in that part of Texas. And there we see the classic frontal inversion there, a little bit of elevated moisture. And those showers, I don't know where those are coming from. It's very warm up in the mid-levels. So these are probably very shallow showers in this level right here. Very strong warm air advection right there. Some cold air remaining right there. And there's probably just enough differential instability between those two layers to get stuff forming. And wow, look at that shear there. But I'm kind of skeptical that we have the Cape to convert that into rotating storms. And I think in terms of fronts, we're looking at something like that there. So you can see that this is kind of an overrunning scenario there. I think that warm front may be even further south, kind of like that. And let's see, bringing this up into the evening hours, I think the fronts are looking like that. An occlusion back across East Texas towards Dallas. Looks like a little snow breaking out in the Woodward area. And then bringing that forward into Thursday. Little ocean going frontal system there south of New Orleans. And then possibly by Saturday, Friday night, maybe the warm fronts like that. And occlusion back over Atlanta. And you can see that little cold core low over Arkansas. So the system definitely has tilt, and it is strongly baroclinic. Even this little low up here near the occlusion is still in the process of transitioning from baroclinic to barotropic. And then the whole mess moves up the East Coast. There it is around Washington, D.C. later in the day Saturday. So the fronts are like that. Not enough cold air for a true wintry nor'easter, but there should be some rain up there. And there it goes. Off the coast of Boston Sunday morning, and then it's out of there. Just some heavy snow for northern Maine and maybe Vermont and New Hampshire. And the next big change appears to be coming around the 11th and 12th of December, with that next shot of cold air coming south. And baroclinic development right there. In Arizona, there it goes, kind of riding over the top of the dome, emerging around Louisiana around 13th and 14th, and this may have more wintry weather back behind it. But that's pretty far out. We don't really give much credence to anything beyond 240 hours. Anyway, that'll do it for our first December broadcast. I want to thank our new supporters who signed up in November: Adrienne Vasquez, Jason Rourke, and Scott Anger. And of course, I thank all of the rest of you who helped make this program possible. All right, until tomorrow, take care. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.